Developed by Radical Entertainment and published by Vivendi Universal, The Simpsons Hit and Run was released on console in September of 2003, with a PC port coming in November. It became a sort of automatic success as a parody of Grand Theft Auto's gameplay, but ended up surviving more as a cult classic than as a true one, which is kind of an odd statement for a game that's practically a household name. It's a legendarily tough game and stands more as an homage to everything we loved about early Simpsons than it does as its own Simpsons-styled adventure. Essentially, there's a reason why more one-off shows like this one talk about the game than, say, continuous content channels like Let's Players. And we're going to explore this little title and its legacy in today's little oddity. So, without further hesitation, let's get right into The Simpsons Hit and Run. Now is the winter of our discontent, made glorious summer by this son of York, and all the clouds that lowered upon our house in the deep bosom of the ocean buried. Now are our brows bound with victorious wreaths, our bruised arms hung for monuments, our stern alarums changed to merry meetings, our dreadful marches to delightful measures. Grim-visaged war hath smoothed his wrinkled front, and now instead of mounting barded steeds to fight the souls of fearful adversaries, he capers nimbly in a lady's chamber, to the lascivious pleasures of a lute. But I, that am not shaped for sportive tricks, nor made to court an amorous-looking glass, I that am rudely stamped and want love's majesty, to strut before wanton ambling nymph, I that am curtailed for this fair proportion, cheated of feature by dissembling nature, deformed, unfinished, sent before my time, into this breathing world, scarce half made up, and that so lamely and unfashionable, that dogs bark at me as I halt by them. Why, I, in this weak piping time of peace, have no delight to pass away the time, unless to spy my shadow in the sun, and descant on mine own deformity. And therefore, since I cannot prove a lover to entertain these fell war-spoken days, I am determined to prove a villain, and hate the idle pleasure of these days. Plots have I laid, inductions dangerous, by drunken prophecies, libels, and dreams, to set my brother Clarence and the king in deadly hate that one against the other. And if King Edward be as true and just as I am subtle, false, and treacherous, this day should Clarence closely be mewed up about a prophecy which says that G of Edward's heirs the murderer shall be. Divine thoughts, down to my soul. Here Clarence comes. 1, 2, princes kneel before you. That's what I said now. Princes who adore you. Just go ahead now. One has diamonds in his pockets. That's some bread now. And this one said he wants to buy you rockets. Ain't in his head now. And this one, he got a princely racket. That's what I said now. Got some big seal up on his jacket. Ain't in his head now. You marry him, your father will condone you. How about that now? You marry me, and your father will disown you. He'll eat his hat now. Marry him or marry me. I'm the one that loved you, baby, can't you see? Ain't got no future or family tree, but I know what a prince and lover ought to be. I know what a prince and lover ought to be. Said, if you want to call me baby, just go ahead now. And if you'd like to tell me maybe, just go ahead now. And if you want to buy me flowers, just go ahead now. And if you like to talk for hours, just go ahead now. Said 1, 2, princes kneel before you. That's what I said now. And princes who adore you. Just go ahead now. One has diamonds in his pocket, and that's some bread now. This one said he wants to buy you rockets. Ain't in his head now. Marry him or marry me. I'm the one that loved you, baby, can't you see? Ain't got no future or family tree, but I know what a prince and lover ought to be. I know what a prince and lover ought to be. Said if you want to call me baby, just go ahead now. And if you'd like to tell me maybe, just go ahead now. Oh baby, just go ahead now. Come on, forget the king who marry me. Just go ahead now. Come on, just go ahead now. Just go ahead now. Just go ahead now. happy. Happy-go-lucky me. I just go my way, living every day. I don't worry, worrying don't agree. Things that bother you never bother me. Things that bother you never bother me. I feel happy and fine. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Haven't got a lot, I don't need a lot, coffee's only a dime. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Just take it from me, I'm just as free as any daughter. I do what I like, just what I like, and how I love it. I'm right here to stay. When I'm old and gray, I'll be right in my prime. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. By our best enemies, we do not want to be spared, nor by those either whom we love from our very heart. So let me tell you the truth. My brethren in war, I love you from the very heart. I am, and was ever your counterpart, and I am also your best enemy. So let me tell you the truth. I know the hatred and envy of your hearts. Ye are not great enough not to know of hatred and envy. Then be ye great enough to not be ashamed of them. And if ye cannot be saints of knowledge, then I pray you, be at least its warriors. They are the companions and forerunners of such saintship. I see many soldiers. Could I but see many warriors. Uniform, one calleth what they wear. May it not be uniform that they therewith hide. Ye shall be those whose eyes ever seek for an enemy, for your enemy. And with some of you, there is hatred at first sight. Your enemy shall ye seek, your war shall ye rage, and for the sake of your thoughts. And if your thoughts succumb, your uprightness shall still shout triumph thereby. Ye shall love peace as a means to new wars, and the short peace more than the long. You, I advise not to work, but to fight. You, I advise not to peace, but to victory. Let your work be a fight, let your peace be a victory. One can only be silent and sit peacefully when one hath an arrow and bow. Otherwise, one prateth and quarreleth. Let your peace be victory. Ye say it is the good cause which halloweth even war. I say unto you, it is the good war which halloweth every cause. War and courage have done more great things than charity. Not your sympathy, but your bravery hath hitherto saved the victims. I'm the Necro Swanson, and you can go fuck yourselves.